Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and these are the games leaving the collection for February of 2025. It's the first games leaving the collection video if you don't count The Purge. The Purge is like the January video, sort of, ish, kind of. It counts for the games leaving the collection in January. We have 2 videos of lots of games leaving my collection, and we're back with our regular monthly roundup that we do, well, monthly, because that's how a monthly roundup works. Hey, Future Alex is here to give a disclaimer that I usually give at the start of these videos that I forgot to do so here. Which is, first of all, as you watch the games leave my collection, regular reminder that I do cover games for a living, or part of my living I should say, and to that end I have a lot of games that come in and inherently have to go out because I can't add so many games to my collection. So there are times that I really thoroughly enjoy a game, but they still have to leave, unfortunately. And the second thing is, if you are a member over on Ko-Fi or on Patreon, I do give away games from these videos every single month, so if you are a member, make sure to go ahead and check that out as I post these videos there. And if you're not yet a member, first of all, by all means, please feel free to do so. Feel free to join to become a member, support the channel, all of that. It is very much appreciated. Obviously, you are not guaranteed free games, but games are given out every single month. And with that, let's go back to to where I left off in the other timeline. Anyways, these are the games leaving for February. I should say that usually these videos are a combination of the games that I've covered that I'm choosing not to keep, which is more the games passing through, and then some games from my collection that are also leaving. And this month it's kind of just the former. Meaning this month we primarily, almost exclusively, there's 2 that maybe count, 3, I don't know. It's mainly games that are passing through, which means if you are watching this video, and if you watch a lot of other videos on the channel, you'll kind of see which games are already leaving, because it'll usually be clear from my coverage which games are passing through versus which ones I have a lot more love, attention, and interest in. So that's just a heads up. I guess it's a heads up that this might be less exciting than normal because there's no heartbreaking moments of angst about a game that I got rid of that I've had for 7 years because, well, frankly, that was both of last month's videos. The monthly purge, the yearly purge, I should say. The yearly purge kind of has all the games that I'm going to angst over and really decide when to call this, that, or the other. And so for today's video, because I already have like 20 plus games that are passing through, I decided not to torture myself too much, and I'm leaving my main collection alone while I recover from the last month's purge. Anyways, that's a lot of setup for the video, which is not atypical for the videos on this channel, so hopefully you already know what you are signed up for. And with that, let's go through these games. I will not be going into a ton of detail on these because, like I said, they are already showing up in various videos. Reviews I've done, roundup reviews I've done, thoughts, first impressions, all of those things have kind of resulted in these games that will be leaving, although to be fair to you, some of these videos haven't gone up yet. The games leaving my collection series always does have a little bit of foreshadowing for whichever videos I've already filmed but haven't yet gone up on the channel. And with that, let's go ahead and start. We're going to start with Crokinole Cards over here. There's a bunch of Crokinole stuff that I did cover. Some of them I'm keeping, some of them I'm not. Crokinole Cards, I'm not. It's a cute little way to play Crokinole. I'd rather just play Crokinole as is. What this adds doesn't do enough for me, although there's another Crokinole thing that does do a lot for me. You can check out that video whenever that goes up. I think it's like 6 expansion reviews, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be mistaken. It's in a video somewhere. Anyways, we have Wonky from the Op, an unstable party game. I did not love this one at all. I thought it was not innovative. It just a bunch of mismatched cubes. I thought the rules were poorly done. Like, it almost seemed like there was not a lot of work put into this. Like, literally, this is playable. It's on the box. It is playable as a 1+ player game. There are no rules as far as how you play it solo. Nothing that I could see, at least. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I missed it, I checked 3 times, but I didn't see any rules on how to play it solo, unless the rule is just go through your cards and try to stack stuff, and also the cards that don't work in a solo game. Like, what do you do when you have a card that's reverse player order in a solo game? What do you even do with that? Granted, in a 2-player game, what do you do with that? But at least it's your turn, so it's something. But in a solo game, it's literally just a... Anyways, didn't seem like there was a lot of thought put into this game. I like the Op. I like a lot of the games they put out. I think that even when I'm not the target audience, I appreciate them. This is not one of those times. This is an easy one to get rid of. We have Blank Slate from the Op. This one I'm not going to be mean to the Op. I thought this was fun. It's just that there's a lot of party games that are fun, and usually the ones that I keep are the ones that are more than just fun. There's something different or interesting about them, and I can't say that that was the case for a Blank Slate challenge. I enjoyed my time with this. I like it. I think it's a good game, and it can go. Similarly, Thankfully, we have a bunch of these over here. We have Tapple After Dark. Again, these are all in one roundup video from the op. We have Tapple After Dark. By the way, from that video is sticking around because that's a lot of fun and very different. At least it's sticking around for now. I don't know about long term. But Blank Slate Challenge, I like Tapple After Dark. I like Tapple. I think Tapple is great. I think the After Dark version is just, you know, a bunch of adult humor on top of Tapple, which I'd rather just play Tapple. So it's a good game. I recommend it. I'm just going to stick with the basic one. I don't need this version of it. We have Adulthood. Adulthood is very charming. I thoroughly enjoyed my plays of this game, but if you watched my review of this, you'll also know that while I enjoyed my time with Adulthood, and while I think it is very, very charming, like I had so much fun playing this game, but it does fall into the category of games that I don't feel the need to play on an ongoing basis. This was good for a great few plays, and then it's time to move on from it because I've kind of seen what the system does, and this was more about the charm and the story than it was about the actual gameplay. So it's good. I do recommend it, with the caveat that if you are a more medium or heavier gamer, I don't think this is going to entrance you with the gameplay. I think the gameplay is good enough, and the charm is what held me in place for those multiple plays. Speaking of games that don't last for a ton of games, we have Windmill Valley over here. This one is a good game. In fact, this is one of those things about why I try not to make decisions after one play, generally, not always, but Windmill Valley, after my first play, I almost put this as like my number 100 in my top 100. I was like, this is so much fun. I really like it. It's going to be number 100. And I was like, Alex, you cannot do that. You cannot play a game today and then 5 days later put in your top 100. You have to let things cool. You have to get more plays under your belt. And I did so, which is good because that did... well, it stopped me from having to put Windmill Valley in my top 100, and then it's immediately gone next year, which will happen, but I like to minimize that as much as possible. I like my opinions to have some degree of longevity, which, by the way, if you watch my top 100, like 50 of the games in my top 100 have been there consistently year over year, so there definitely is longevity, but there's also cult of the new. Windmill Valley was excellent after one play, and the more I played it, the more it went from amazing to good to, well, to amazing to very good, and then down to good. I still think it's good. There are, my initial rating would have been a 4.5. By the time I actually reviewed it, it was a 3.5. Not all games drop that much. Usually a game will drop half a point. Whatever it was about Windmill Valley, the things that it did well, I really appreciated, but the entire premise of the water levels I didn't love in the game, and then other aspects of it just, I don't know. It's a good game. It is a good game, but it definitely was the best experience I had after one play, and then procedurally down as I played it more. From there, we have Typewriter over here. Typewriter, this is one where the review may not have gone up yet. In general, like some of these, I already have the reviews that went live. Some of these, they're filmed but not live, and some of these there aren't videos for. One of these, there's not a video for. Anyways, Typewriter. Typewriter is a enjoyable game from Fowers Games about managing wards. You're managing wards, you're building the best wards. You're gonna have a bunch of typewriter keys, and as you build a ward, you flip them, and then as you earn points from the wards you built, you get to cash keys in for points, kind of weeding your pool, but giving you points. It's a good system, but it's not special to me. I recommend paperback more so, or paperback adventures, or hardback. Honestly, to me, as much as this is not a bad game, it is the weakest ward game I've personally experienced from Fowers Games. They have a lot of good ward games. This is still good, but it's good but not as good as the others, which is not exactly a recommendation. My recommendation would be for the others in their series. We have Mycelia over here. Mycelia, from Splitstone Games and put out, distributed by Burnt Island Games. This is a mushroom growing game where you're basically dealing with an area control puzzle over here. You're going to have these little areas where you're trying to plant these, or you're trying to spread these shrooms effectively, using those to plant more mushrooms as you build a bigger and better engine. There are some things that work well in it. I do enjoy the process of building out a combination of mushroom abilities, but the core puzzle in the center I didn't find overly compelling. I don't love shared resource islands, and this is very much a shared resource island, with ways to block your opponent and make sure you get what you want, but overall the puzzle had some things I really liked and some things not so much, ultimately not a keeper. Then we have Atoll. Atoll I frankly did not enjoy at all. Atoll is a stretch. I gave this a 2.5. It's not at all. It is... There are too many things that got in the way of my enjoyment of this, but I can understand if you are someone who does enjoy it. For context, my rating scale, up until a 2, represents my personal opinion of the experience, not whether I think it's good for you. Once we get down to a 1.5, that's where I actually go into this is a bad game. 1.5 and lower is this is bad, not just my opinion of the fact that it's bad, which is inherently not true. Inherently, if it's my opinion, it is is always going to be my opinion, but I guess the way I'd put it is Atoll is a game I didn't enjoy, but I can see if you did, versus a game that's a 1.5 is, no, this is actively has things wrong with it. You might disagree with me, but I think it's bad for you, not just bad for me. Hopefully that makes sense. It's inherently, there's a quote I've always loved where there is art that is subjectively bad, but then there's art that is subjectively, objectively bad, which makes sense when you spend a little more time thinking about it, but it does make sense. Anyways, Atoll over here. Atoll is about building out your atoll, your combination of plant life and reefs, and then trying to utilize your resources at your disposal across those 4 rounds, and I didn't find the experience enjoyable enough in a variety of ways. You can watch my full review for the breakdown, but basically there were issues finding cards that worked well with other cards. Visually, the game didn't pull me in, both from a visual aspect as well as from a what's the word for it? Graphic design accessibility. The ability to look at the board and immediately grasp what's going on got in the way. Overall, I found it a little bit restrictive, not fun enough, and too dependent on things, and the things I liked weren't present enough. So it's not bad, but I can understand if you liked it. I did not. We have Beacon Patrol over here. Beacon Patrol and expansion. And I like this game with a big caveat, and I'll tell you that caveat right now, because if this game had one thing different, I would keep this game. I think Beacon Patrol is a very fun solo experience. I think it's a very fun solo experience that is improved by the Ships and Shores expansion, making it an even better solo experience with more variability going on. It's also cooperative. I just say solo because most of my plays have been solo, because I don't know. I played it cooperatively. I played it at 2, actually I played it a few times cooperatively. I played it at 2 players and 3 players, not 4, but most of my plays have been solo as I go through the various expansion modules and whatnot. But the problem I have with Beacon Patrol is that it's just a beat your own score kind of game. This game to me would be so much better if it had specific challenges. If it had challenges that you like, use these combination, get this many points, and also make sure you have X, Y, and Z happening on the map. Basically things like what Calico and Cascadia and those games do from Flat Out Games. I think if this were not just about beating your own score, it would have more longevity to it, and I'd want to go through and beat all those scenarios because I do find the gameplay enjoyable. The only caveat I'd give there is the caveat that while I find the gameplay enjoyable, I think it does outstay its welcome by maybe 25%, meaning what you're doing is a little too repetitive and it lasts like 25% longer than I'd like for that gameplay experience. But it is a very solid game. I do enjoy it. I do recommend it. I like it. But well, it's a 3.5, which is technically not a recommendation. But I think it's worth playing. It's always hard to struggle with like the ratings and the balance of enjoying a game versus keeping a game. Very different things. I do like this. I do think it's worth trying, but maybe try before you buy. We have Neuro and Patzcuaro over here. These are 2 games of a 3-game set, including Cosmic Cow Collectors. Cosmic Cow Collectors is staying for right now. You can watch my full breakdown of them for more details on why, but I would say that overall, all 3 games didn't really heavily land with me. For my own personal enjoyment, none of them are games that I'd pick up and play. I do think I think Patzcuaro is my favorite of the 3 games, and you're like, Alex, why are you getting rid of the favorite of the 3, but keeping one of the non-favorites? And that's because of target audiences. Neuro I found to be not enjoyable enough. A little bit too thinky without the payoff of it. It's just a lot of analyzing and not a lot of feeling like I got a really clever turn out of it. So just kind of a pass for me. Patzcuaro, I did enjoy aspects of it. I really liked the scoring mechanism. I didn't like the actual selection mechanism of the things you're trying to get to score. I found it to be a little bit overwrought on drawn out. So I liked half of the game, the other half not as much. And Cosmic Cow Collectors, I thought was very charming for my kids. I think my kids will enjoy that one a lot. I actually haven't played it with them yet, but I do think they'll enjoy it a lot. It's basically a little bit of hidden roll-ish, kind of like you're trying to hide what planet you have in order to try to basically abduct cows as much as possible. But it's the kind of craziness that I think is good for, well, either a drunk game night, non-gamers, or family, kids. And so for me, in the kids category, it's sticking around for right now. But once they play it, we'll see if it sticks around. They'll be the judge of that. Which brings us to the next pile of games, because we have so many games to go through. Again, just not a ton of, well, let's go to my first asterisk. My first asterisk over here, because I said there were like 3 asterisks on games leaving the collection, and that is Aeon's End Legacy. Because this is arguably leaving the collection, but that's because I finished it. Again, this is a game I've played through twice now. This is my second time going through it. There'll be a full review on the channel if you want to see myself and Meg's thoughts on this one. Overall, the short version I'll give you right now, to not take away from the review totally, is first of all, we're finished, so it's kind of obvious that it's going away. But then secondly is, I enjoy the Aeon's End Legacy experience I would happily play another season of it, but I would not be the driving party of playing another season. I mean, there's Legacy games I really enjoy. Pandemic Legacy, I would happily play again tomorrow. Ticket to Ride Legacy, I want to activate. I have a copy ready to play. I'm going to be playing it again at some point. I want to get Rise of Queensdale again because that was so much fun. Charterstone I played through twice. But something like Aeon Legacy, I played it through twice now, and it's good. It's good. It's fun. It's just not amazingly fun. It's a good game. It's not like... I'm not writing love letters about how good the experience was. I'm not praising it to the sky. It was a good deck building experience, and I like Legacy games too, so I finished it again. That's my opinion of Aeon Legacy. You can watch the full review for more thoughts, but that's kind of where I am loosely on this. Which brings us to the next pile over here. We have the Isle of Cats Duel. I don't have a problem with the game. I think it's a good game, but I have Isle of Cats Explore and Draw. There's too much overlap on what the games are doing, and I don't need both of them. I'm going to keep Isle of Cats Explore and Draw. We have Cascadia Junior, which Cascadia Junior I did not love. I thought that it didn't do anything that I particularly enjoyed. In fact, in my review, I talked about how I thought it was too simple and not enough interesting things happening in the game. And someone pointed out in the comments that they said, hey, but wouldn't that, if you try to change some of those things, wouldn't it just be Cascadia? And my answer to that is, I'm not a game designer. Meaning, more specifically, to clarify what I mean there, I acknowledge that inherently when you make a game that is based off of another game, there's a challenge of how do you make the game, because I'm almost sitting here saying Isle of Cats Duel is good, but too similar to Explore and Draw, and I'd rather play Explore and Draw. And here I'm saying it's not similar enough and it's worse. It is inherently hard when you use an existing IP to sell another version of that IP. That is a challenge you face. But the reason you pursue that challenge is because you're trying to use the thing someone loves in order to sell another version of the thing that person loves. But that means that challenge is now on you. That is an actual challenge. That is hard. I'm not trying to take away from it. It is a hard challenge to get right, to sell multiple versions of the same thing to a passionate fan base. I am very much a fan of Cascadia as a game. I think Cascadia is excellent. They want to make Cascadia Legacy or Cascadia this, Cascadia that. I'll probably try them all. But there is going to be a standard that I have for that of, did that thing do what I wanted that thing to do? I have covered a lot of kids games. I think there are some fantastic kids games out there. I just don't think Cascadia Junior is one of them. I know this because I didn't love it, and my kids didn't love it. We're all fine with the experience. And so, for me, I recognize the challenge of, well, then what should it have been? But that's not my problem. My problem is to tell you how the experience was and whether I think it was worth getting or playing or any of that. And my unfortunate answer there is no. That might not be true for all people or all age groups. I do have a variety of kids' ages that have played this, but not all ages. And all people are different. And so this is not a review that will encompass everyone's opinion ever. But for me, this was unfortunately a miss. I was looking forward to it, and I just didn't get what I wanted out of the experience. What did I want? Don't know. But I wanted something. Not this is what I wanted. Something that's more, I don't know, more interesting. There are ways to make kids games that have interesting decisions. I played a lot of them. This wasn't it for me. Then we have Ancient Terrible Things Reawaken, I should say, because this is the new version of Ancient Terrible Things. This is a fun Yahtzee-style game that I enjoyed, but also didn't, fall in love with. Again, this is a series of a bunch of reviews I did. Probably a bunch of them are in that stack over there because they are all together. But this one over here it was good. It was Yahtzee-style, rolling dice to accomplish goals. I enjoy Yahtzee-style games. I just don't I don't know if this did anything to me that was magical. The most compelling thing about the game, honestly, is the art and production. I thought that was very solid. The rest of the game is still good, but good is not good enough in a world full of way too many games and not enough time. We have Tree Society, another game that is good. I like Tree Society. Again, this is all part of a roundup, so this is part of a roundup review series that already went up on the channel, so I am going to go through these quickly. Tree Society was another game that was good and not good enough. I enjoyed it. I thought it did some interesting things, but it was a little repetitive game to game. We have Stalk Exchange over here, which Stalk Exchange, this is a stock-taking game-ish, where you're going to be trying to manage the value of the tulips based on placing them out on a board, and then managing your own personal supply of the tulips. The art didn't pull me in. The gameplay was fun, but the gameplay did not hook me. These are all examples of games that are good, but not good enough, just given a lot of games. And the next one is going to be the same thing. These are all part of the same review, so that's why I'm trying to go quickly through this over here. We have Borderlands, Arena of Badassery, a kind of a semi-campaign-ish, dungeon crawler-ish, not exactly, leveling up your characters. All of these things are elements. There's elements of campaign, there's elements of dungeon crawler, there's elements of leveling up your character, gathering better gear as you take down a horde of people heading towards you as you go through the scenarios of this game. I liked it. There was a specific aspect I liked. The dice rolling system is very interesting. There's a specific name for it, I can't recall. But it's a good game, but again, I have a lot of great games in the genre, and this was just good. I didn't feel the need to keep it after several plays. Then we have over here, let's see, we have two more games games to go through. We have Teotihuacan. Okay, I'm running out of space on the table, but we're good. We're down to 2 games, so we can make this work over here. Teotihuacan, City of the Gods, City of Gods, not the Gods. This is a very solid game, like both in terms of the weight of the box, but also in terms of the gameplay. This was easily the best game on this table, I want to say. I think so. I think it's the best game on this table from the ones that I've played. But Teotihuacan, as much as it's the best game of the table, it's the top 100 on Board Game Geek. To me, in this genre of medium to heavyweight Euros, when I love a game, I love a game. And I said this in the review or my first impressions video of this, but when I think of games like Minos or Sankori or Bruges or, I don't know, Coimbra, these are all games that really make I'm so incredibly satisfied when I play these games. The experience they give me is a top of the line, and I love them. And Teotihuacan, I really liked. Instinctively, it's a 4 out of 5. That rating could possibly get better after multiple plays. In this case, I don't think I'm going to seek out multiple plays. I'm happy to play this game again. I'm open to it for sure. But as much as I enjoyed aspects of this game, there were elements that held it back for me too. And when I think of where I'd rather place my time, I'd rather play other things for right now. But it is a very good game, and it definitely, this is a 4 out of 5. It's absolutely a game I recommend. And then lastly, this is something that was in one of my live streams, but I am getting rid of Titans. This is not a game I've actually played. It's Area Control. But basically, during a live stream, someone said, hey, you still haven't played Titans yet. And I was like, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to. I don't know when this will happen. If you've been following some of my other content, you'll know that Area Control as a category used to be one of my most played categories, but nowadays less so. Nowadays it still gets tabled, but less than it used to, which has resulted in me culling some of my Area Control games. So some of my Area Control games that I've had in the past I've gotten rid of. Others I still love and I'm holding on to them even if I don't play them enough, but it definitely gets played less. And Titans is an Area Control game. It's been a long time since I looked at this and thought, I'm going to try to get that to the table. And so reluctantly, this is a game that's leaving my collection that I haven't tabled, which does happen. And that is basically it. That is the games leaving the collection video. I think I have to go ahead and post a thing to put at the beginning of the video because I forgot to do my usual note about, well, disclaimers around games and also disclaimers around giving away games over on Patreon and Ko-Fi. So I'm going to go ahead and clear the games off the table, film something that will then go at the beginning of the video. But before I do that, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you appreciate this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.